We'll dive in. Alex, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Take it away.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, JC. Thank you so much, Atlanta Ventures. And also thanks to the audience. Really excited to be here and share about what I built with my team over 2020. So a quick question before I dive in, and for everyone joining. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least, 5 being the most, how important is company culture to you? We have some answers in the chat.
Yeah, they're popping in. 4, 5, 4, 4, 4, 5.
Got
5,
it.
5, 4, 5. Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, a lot of people think that's important. They would agree with you. So, in the last few years, kind of leading up to the pandemic, culture-related turnover has cost about $223 billion, and that's in the United States alone, U.S. companies. And that is directly related to toxic culture. People are leaving, right, at this cost. It's pretty tremendous. And so what better problem to focus on essentially than trying to solve for culture. And in my experience, so before starting Laurl, I worked in government and I worked in investigations and mediations for a government agency. And in doing that, I resolved hundreds of cases of harassment and discrimination. Now, those were really serious, and some of those, of course, are edge cases. But ultimately, they're people issues. And they sometimes started with much smaller people issues and culture issues. And by the time we saw them, they were, incredibly costly. And they were 2 years down the road and very damaging for the individuals involved and also the company too. And so what I learned from that process and what became abundantly clear is that the problem is truly, that the process is broken, right? Resolving people issues, resolving performance issues, it's incredibly manual. There often isn't a process. And if there is, it's fragmented. Companies use a lot of different tools. Some don't use any tools at all. Some are not recording this stuff. And ultimately, it's not people-centered. If anyone has ever been involved in, resolving a people issue at work, whether it's a manager issue or something a little bit more serious, like bias or microaggressions or, discrimination, these issues can be very tough and very complex, but the process feels adversarial. The process can feel scary, ultimately. So, and that's something that hasn't changed in decades. And there's a lot of stakeholders typically. There's often not a lot of data that's being shared or gleaned from this process other than closure rates every month. Employees are involved. You might have bystanders, you have HR, people ops leaders, business partners. And then, you also have perhaps legal sometimes. And then, of course, the leadership of the company who might want to know at an aggregate, how's my company cultural health? Now, it's pretty much chaos. And this matters for a few reasons. One, it leads to increased risk. It creates an inconsistent process, which is something that I saw and I learned through my discovery with interviews very early on, which was the process is so vastly different. It's deployed in so many different ways. And honestly, it's incredibly inconsistent, even from one individual to the next in a company. The outcomes can be also as inconsistent. And because of that, it leads people to believe that maybe things are happening unfairly. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And there's also a huge impact on culture, right? All of this centers around trust. It creates a pretty poor experience. It also leads to increased turnover, as we saw. And unresolved or poorly managed issues just really kind of create this environment, this toxic culture that's allowed to perpetuate. And lastly, there's a ton of administrative work. there's a ton of notes. Having a scattered and fragmented process, the work is overwhelmingly burdensome. There's very little data, real time, for outcomes tracking. Like I said, it's mostly just closure rates and carryover from one month to the next. It's largely a reactive process, not proactive. So That's why Laurl was created, essentially to be an employee-centered, empathy-first SaaS for issue resolution and resolution management. So it's reimagining how employee relations gets done in companies. Laurl lets teams be really flexible in the kind of issues that they end up tracking. So they can manage remote issues, things that happen over Slack, things that happen over Zoom, and add their own over time. Flexible logging, that's a really big part of it. Also a dashboard for the C-level and board. So for them to see at an aggregate, what are the hotspots? How are things working in my company? Where are the departments or the teams that we should be paying more attention to? And also some performance improvement plan tracking. So often outcomes are left out of it, but really understanding, what happens after that. Was this really effective? Did this resolution work? And also a way to be able to track, manage, and ultimately resolve in one place. Send automated updates to employees, keep them in the loop on the progress and process so that no one's feeling left out or left behind. And lastly, we changed up the language. So typically the language that you'd see in a process like this, and maybe you've even heard of, is complainant, respondent, accused, witness, and evidence gathering. We're thinking about this differently because for modern teams, this inclusion and inclusive language is paramount. So instead of complainant, we're using words like concerned employee, bystander instead of witness, and information gathering rather than evidence gathering. It's starting to shift the lexicon a little bit towards something that's much more empathy driven and it's trauma informed, backed by research. So I would love to show you how it works. Just dive in and take a spin around Laurl, and you'll be able to see just some of these features. Easy to follow. There's a 3-phase resolution tracker. There's the exec dashboard, which we'll dive into. Automated workflows, which is a really key piece because often HR teams and folks are wondering where to start and how to move through it in a consistent way. So Laurl really provides that structure to be able to move through any issue, depending on whether it's a more serious issue type, like microaggression, or something that's a daily issue, or maybe manager issues or peer issues. And then also the flexible way to track it. So. If everyone can see my screen here. So this is essentially the homepage of Laurl. This is my dashboard. I obviously have company level view. I can see everything that's going on in aggregate, but also I manage my own cases. So here you can create logs, you can see what's happening, jumping over to kind of more of a company review, a company overview. I can see actually what's open and closed, but also where the hotspots are. What's the primary department? I can filter, I can search these, I can reorganize these if I want. And also, what are the issues or the top issue of the month that we keep seeing? And how are they being resolved? In this case, seems to be a lot of coaching. There's some pay adjustments, and then leave being some of them. And then all the reports on my team. So I can actually see here, who's doing what, who's owning what status they're in. Are they in the early phases of outreach being sent? Or are they haven't even started yet, they're still drafting? Or are they toward the end, they're resolving? Or are they have they completed, right? Essentially their resolution. And so if I jump to my own dashboard, I can drill down into a particular report, a particular log. Here I've just started it. So I can see that, I'm in the very early stages. I already sent my outreach, but I want to jump in and see where I am. So you're able to essentially be really flexible in the kind of issues that you track. You can adjust them at any time. All the people involved, right? So here we have a couple people that have reported something, and then a few bystanders. And it automatically comes with a template to help you essentially track or begin to create the early outcomes report or findings, if you will. And then you can track your resolutions as well. So here, maybe there's a performance improvement plan, and we want to see how that works over time, and how that gets tracked. So, and then jumping back to the dashboard, I mean, I can also create a new log from here if I want to log that there was perhaps an issue. I can do this in much the same way. And so this is essentially the automated work plan that allows you to log those early issues.
Alex,
Similarly,
this
if
looks
it's, yeah,
amazing.
thanks.
I wondered
Thanks.
if I could interrupt with a question real quick, and then we can
Yeah.
keep going on. Where are you at in your process, your building process? Like, do you have customers right now? Are you, is this looks beta? It looks amazing. Where are you kind of at in that timeline?
Yeah, so we are early. It's production ready, so we're still early working on those first 10. But we've been in talks with a couple of companies and working on them to get onboarded as early partners. So so that's looking really good so far. But we are, yeah, it's definitely production ready, and
Sure.
so we're at a phase where we're just learning more
Yeah.
and looking and anxious to build out some more features.
And then one more question here. How do you measure the level of engagement with your customers? Is that, is that like on your dashboard there, or how are you kind of measure that?
Measure engagement in terms of in the resolution process with employees
Yeah,
and the
or
people
maybe
involved.
yeah, is that, or again, this is a question in the chat. It might be like, how are you like kind of tracking how often your customer is going to be in there? Is that something that's important that you measure?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea with Laurl is that it's daily use. So the way that we're going to be working with our early partners is staying very close to them, weekly update calls and things like that, because we're going to be making sure that this works with them, for them, in their particular use case. Whether it's more for performance related tracking for perhaps managers or HR, that is really dependent on the team size and the makeup, depending on how involved their HR business partners are in kind of the day-to-day management of these people issues and what kind of issues they're seeing too.
Yeah, excellent. And well, one other question here. Who are you currently, like selling to? Who is your ideal customer profile right now?
Yeah, ideal customer is a little bit larger team, so over the 50 to 80 employee mark, where they're no longer self-managing. So we're targeting mid-market, and a lot of the companies that we're speaking with are several hundred employees up to about 10,000 employees. So to be able to serve different verticals within those teams within companies as well.
Okay, great. There's a couple other questions in the chat. Maybe you can chat. They said, what does it cost, or what is going to be your price point? And then maybe you could drop your contact in as well, if like if you're looking to connect or something. But it looks amazing. We are so glad to have you presenting today, and I'm glad if anyone has more questions, chat Alex and so that she can connect with y'all and hopefully be a part of the community and help maybe this project kind of take off and take wings. So Alex, thank you so much for joining us. We're glad you're here, and this looks awesome.
Thanks so much, Stacey.
Yeah, of course. Graham, I'm going to invite you up next to join us, if you will. Awesome. And I believe you should be able to share your screen, no problem. And we will go from there.
Cool. Thanks, Stacey. Yeah, so good morning, everybody. My name is Graham Gintz. I am one of the co-founders of Knightley, spelled with a K, like in my handle here. And before we dive in, how many use the reaction button for if you're a founder, kind of like me, early in your journey? How many other founders do we have? Great, awesome, appreciate it. So as you know, fundraising is not the most fun part of this job, and so this is my third time doing a startup. Prior to starting Knightley, I was working at Techstars, coaching fundraising and doing sourcing and being kind of on the other side of the table, deciding, the 1,000 applications we got every year, who were the 10 slots that we were going to give openings to. And reality like fundraising is just storytelling. And so we started Knightley to basically help make you more efficient as a founder, especially as a CEO, because you've got a million other things that you need to be doing. And until you're super networked, it's a lot of grinding work to go build those relationships and that rapport and tell that story in a way that is investor friendly, which is definitely not obvious when you're a first time founder. And I have made every mistake in the book. And so I'm going to dive in here and kind of show you the founder side of Knightley. And then before I do that, who here has made an angel investment? Show with your awesome. So what we're figuring out is also kind of the same thing, that this world of angel investing is also a little bit confusing and daunting. And we're working on some cool tools there, but we'll start on the founder side. So this is a live demo. So we've got three sides of the Knightley platform. We've got the founder tools, we've got tools for angel investors, and then we're launching a digital community, which is kind of like our own play on a resource center that looks and feels like Twitter. And so as a founder, we provide you what's called an investor billboard. And the same way that we're here, we're live, we're on camera, the storytelling component is just that much easier as a founder that I have found over video than trying to put together the absolute perfect pitch deck. So we integrated with Loom's SDK, and we give you the capacity to tell your story. Definitely recommend 3 minutes. Attention spans are at all-time low. Really get to the point, dive in, be succinct, and kind of showcase what your big vision is, and then let some of the company speak for itself. You can attach your pitch deck, and then every single founder can come in and they can have their own profile where instead of just being a slide where you throw some logos of where you've worked and where you went to college, you can actually succinctly tell your story of who you are, where you come from, why you're passionate about the problem that you're solving. And it's not just the CEO. In our case, I think Rob's reason for joining with me and starting this company is actually more interesting. He was the first person to believe in me and in our vision, and has helped build from day one. The next piece here is showcasing your traction and really highlighting your focal point. So like our focal point is not only getting companies on the platform, but also getting investors who are our paid customer on the platform. And so we've got, as of this morning live, 542 companies that are fundraising with Knightley and 66 investors that are running some type of angel process using our platform. And then the last piece is your product demo. So what we're doing right here, right now. And the idea here is not only does this give investors a clear way to kind of visualize what your product is and how much progress you've made, it's also their first time hearing founder-led sales. And so they kind of get to be that customer view without having to create kind of a fake customer situation. Now, this was designed to be the perfect send ahead. So you just get a public link, you can send it off to an investor ahead of your meeting. And now they can come in super prepared where they've already heard the pitch, met your team, seen your traction, and got an idea of the product. And now that 20, 30-minute meeting is them starting with a point of some knowledge, coming in with good questions, and you're kind of starting on second or third kind of meeting, which really, really helps with momentum. You talk about this kind of idea of building momentum through your fundraise. You want to make sure that you just have all of these pieces that can help streamline your trust so that this investor believes that you're not only an executive today, but also the executive that can be running a multi-billion-dollar unicorn. So you can come into Knightley, build all this out. When you're ready, you switch from stealth mode to visible mode, and then you become accessible to the investors on the platform. Now, once those meetings go well, we give you a data room that already has all of the folder structure built out, so that you can get a sense of what investors are going to be asking for as you move from angel to seed to Series A. We try to provide you all of the templates to kind of give you a starting point, because we are founders ourselves. We know that starting with blank piece of papers is always exhausting, and we know fundraising, and we wanted to kind of give everybody that software set that makes this really, really clean. And effectively, this operates like a Google Drive, except instead of having 30 different Google Drives for 30 different investor groups, you can come in, put all of your documentation in one place, select the default access you want to share, and then you can manage on an investor by investor relationship how much access those individuals have. And then you can pop in here, see the data, the analytics. As you're trying to build out your relationships, you can come in and start building a pipeline. So this is kind of my want list from the folks I met over at Venture Atlanta, and then like in progress. So Catherine, who's on the call, we've been talking. I now have kind of my notes and everything about how the relationship is going, can keep me organized as I'm trying to talk to 100 different investors at any single point in time. It makes it feel like to each one of those investors, I am only talking to them. I'm only in kind of like I'm all in on that relationship. Helps keep me organized, more efficient. The last piece I'll show from the founder side is kind of the Traction dashboard. We integrate with different APIs, working on more, but the idea is that you can get some real-time information around revenue, and we're pulling out a Stripe, we're pulling out a QuickBooks, pulling out Google Analytics. We built this custom, pulling out of our own data, and it not only can showcase to you your growth, but also to your team. And then lastly, we do investor updates. So really keeping a clean story on that founder side. Now, what the investors get is once you've raised that hand, now they get all of this deal flow. So I can pop in here and I can discover all these companies that are through various industries. They are in different geographies, and I can come in and now experience these companies. I've got that warm introduction, and it's really, really easy as an angel who may not have this full venture capital kind of infrastructure to come in and have all of these same tools to run a process just like a venture capitalist would, and makes investing really, really easy. And the cool thing about Knightley is we've designed it so that it can be not alone. It can be done in groups, whether that's 3 friends, you want to build a big angel group, but we give you all of the tools to manage your different data rooms and kind of due diligence. You can kind of create opportunities, which it'll send out an information, like an email to everyone in your organization. And then we also have API partners with companies like Sidecar, where we can do a pop-up SPV so that it's one clean deal. All of the legal infrastructure is done for you at lowest rate in industry. And then you can run your full kind of investing process all from one place. And then this is going live here early November, where you've got your community where you can come in and you can actually just be showcasing your value add as an angel, but also as a founder, you can be asking for help and sharing your knowledge. And we've kind of gamified it in a way so that it's all about helpfulness. It's not about likes. It's not about kind of who's trending. It's purely designed to be an information stack where a founder can pop in here and in less than 10 minutes, they can ask a question, get an answer, they can get feedback, they can come in and, hey, I need help with my deck. I just put up a new pitch. Can someone give me some notes? And we can all just be iterating together. This was the magic of what I saw working at a really tight accelerator. And there's no reason why we couldn't build an open community for founders of all stages to come in. And part of our big journey here is educating that everyone should not only be value add in the startup ecosystem, but also that they should be deploying capital and that they should be building their own angel portfolio, and they should be taking ownership in the communities that they're supporting and helping. And as those companies grow, kind of the tide rises all boats. We can all be making significant financial gain togetger.
This is so great. Graham, thank you so much. Wow. I do have a question. What kind of traction have you seen? Do you have a lot of investors on, do you have a lot of startups and founders just with your network? Can you talk, quickly about that?
Yeah, so we have 542 companies as of this morning that are using the tools from all over the world. I think we're on 5 continents. And companies in our network have raised over 20 million here in 2021. So solid companies doing solid things. And then we've got 66 angels who are paying to use the platform, and pricing is just $20 a month to be part of an angel group. And then once you join one angel group, you can join unlimited number of angel groups for no additional cost.
Oh, wow. Okay. Can you tell us what is like a feature or something that you have that like surprised you, right? Like as you're building a product, and like, was there something that's either group was asking for that you were, you know, didn't expect, or has really like surprised you in that?
I would say that like nothing too crazy. The cool thing about building a product where I'm the number one customer is that we have that experience every single day. So we are like, I'm writing angel checks, I'm running a startup. So I'm constantly building tools and dog fooding kind of my own products every single day. And then I talk to other founders and other angels, and they're constantly giving feedback. The thing that has been exciting and to get verified and validated was the use of video. We like kind of went on, we were super early on asynchronous video, and we were a little bit worried that people may not love the idea, and the number of folks that are using Loom to now that's their whole data room, is just as a founder, they pop in, they record something, and they send it off. It's been exciting to see, and things were evolving.
Yeah.
We're evolving past PDF decks.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have thought that, but that's great feedback and affirmation for you. So, well, there's a few more questions. And if you could repeat about how much folks have raised, just in the chat, I've had some DMs about how much money that companies have raised through your platform in the chat. That'd be great.
Cool.
Put your contact in there. There's a couple other responses if you want, and we're just glad you're here. And thanks for sharing your product. We love seeing it.
Thanks.
Emily, I'll invite you to come on as well. One last presenter here, folks. Hi, Emily. Take it away. I'll let you go from here. Hopefully you can unmute. Awesome.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Okay, I'll be quick. I'm Emily Traxler, the CEO of Bankshot. Thanks for having me. It's really cool to learn about Knightley and Laurl on two different ends of the spectrum, right? For a company, Knightley is where many people I know are right now. Laurl is, you know, like you said, that once you hit 50 employees, you need something like this to manage your culture. And that just was really exciting to hear from both of you. So thank you for having me. I'll cap off your morning, I guess, with Bankshot. So Bankshot is an app that allows you to safely and securely deposit funds, including earnest money, real estate, rental deposits, through our mobile app using a paper check. Our customers can also control these funds as they come in our patented portal, which I'll show you in our demo. So we were founded, just to give you a little bit of background, we were founded by Glenn and Bernie Drake. So they're local real estate brokers who own 4 businesses in real estate industry in Atlanta. And they created Bankshot out of need for themselves. And they quickly realized that other businesses also needed this solution. The first problem that they were trying to solve was the inconvenience of real estate agents driving all over greater Atlanta to retrieve earnest money checks and then driving them to their offices. You know, they have to go get them from the client, and these funds are on a strict deadline. So that meant that if some party was traveling or didn't have transportation or was moving from out of town, that a check couldn't be used. And so you can see here from this little graph that the way that Bankshot solves that problem is that the check actually comes in from your cell phone, and they take a picture of it just like you would from your bank app. It goes to our portal that the the title company or the real estate broker controls, and they actually can accept the funds, put them on hold, add notes, and send them to their bank account, and hits their bank the next day. And then the second problem they were looking to solve was the growing issue of fraud. And so that's why the paper check. I wanted to touch on this really quick, since I realized that it's probably pretty interesting to think that a paper check would be involved in a modern payment solution. But just to explain a little bit really quick, the first option that you have in some states, not all, is to use an ACH to send your earnest money. In Georgia, you can actually do that. And you can claw that money back also. So if you change your mind, you can just take the money back, call your bank, say, I didn't send that, or whatever people say to get their funds turned around. So that's a problem. The second is to wire the funds. This is the most commonly used. Right now, as of this month, 1/3 of all transactions in real estate have at least attempted fraud. This is a really scary statistic, and especially since we're actually seeing Georgia and Tennessee specifically targeted this year. So it's happening in our backyard. And the people who are pulling this off are very sophisticated. You wouldn't believe the links they go to. The years of laying in wait, the groundwork at every point of the transaction before they strike, for lack of a better word. And it's a lot of money that people are losing, and it's often their life savings. They're scary. I could do a whole talk on that alone, but I'll just keep going for the sake of time. And your third option is the paper check, which happens to be the most secure form of payment. As long as copies aren't circulating in, physical copies circulating or around the office. So this is why taking the picture of the check, letting it go into our encrypted portal is very important. And our ultimate mission is to eliminate fraud in real estate transactions. And so that's why we've sort of modernized the paper check. I'm going to show you some screenshots of our mobile app. We actually have this new version of our app coming out on Friday, and so it looks a little different right now. But just to give you a little bit about the experience of someone using the app as a home buyer, they actually just download Bankshot, they log in, we have multi-factor authentication. They create their payment as their second step. They choose what type of payment it is. It's often earnest money. They enter their property details. So this is the property that you're buying. And so that's for reconciliation. So the people who are receiving the funds know where the check or for what contract it goes to. You enter the amount, who the check is going to, take a picture of the front and back like you would for your bank app, and confirm. And voila, you receive a confirmation email, and the company that you sent the funds to also receives an email that the funds have actually gone through to their portal. And I will show you our portal really fast. So the title company or the real estate brokerage has a portal in Bankshot where they can actually view when the money comes in. Again, they've received a notification. They also probably just check this at the end of the day. Because these are time-sensitive transactions. I'm going to hop into our earnest money queue. And what you can see here is the color coding. We have a patented portal. This has been really important for us with our competitors, so no one else can control the funds like we can. We can actually put checks on hold, and that's where you'll see the yellow. New checks are going to be listed as green, and then anything that we've rejected, which is a lot in our demo environment, is red. When a new check comes in, I can just open this transaction. I can review everything about the check, make sure that the property is right, the amount is accurate. You wouldn't believe how many times people will type in that the check is for $3 instead of $3,000. This actually just happened yesterday. It's just, typing on your phone. So you can update that there. The due date is really important because they'll receive notifications if the check hasn't been pushed through to the bank by the due date. Again, with earnest money, there's some deadlines there for when the money needs to hit their bank account. We have date and time stamps, and then we have images of the actual checks below, and we have electronic endorsements. So when they decide to actually deposit the check, they can endorse it really quickly, and then it goes to the bank. So right now the check is just encrypted and it's sitting here in our portal. It's not actually in their bank account yet. And this is really important because you don't want to have to chase these funds down if something happens in the transaction, which is why we also have the hold or reject options. You can leave notes and you can view the history on the check. So what users created the transaction, any notes that were left, how many times it was opened, by who. All of these things, again, are really important just to make sure for security purposes and privacy that we know exactly what's going on with each check in the transaction. So you deposit the check, you choose what bank account you want it to go to. Some of these companies will have multiple bank accounts, multiple escrow accounts. Leave a note and click deposit. All right. And that's pretty much it for our portal. It's a super simple solution. I would love it if you guys would connect with us on Instagram. We're trying to get that off the ground, and I have 46 followers at Get Bankshot. And then this is our website and my email address as well.
That's awesome. Thank you, Emily, for showing all these things. I do have a couple questions here. You mentioned the patenting of that. What specific portion of the portal is patent? If you could share that, or is it like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the holding the check, I guess, in the portal itself is patented, and then the stoplight technology. So that's what we're calling it, the hold, reject, and deposit.
Awesome. And diving deeper in that, is there any specific interesting claims in the patent, or have y'all had to defend it in court yet?
We haven't had to defend it in court yet. It is very frustrating for our competitors, though. I get so many questions when we go to conferences, because we have competitors who also can allow you to deposit checks, for example, for real estate transactions, but they're not able to control the funds like we are. And so we have customers that prefer that won't choose that solution for that one reason. And they get, our founders, Glenn and Bernie did this before they hired me earlier this year. And that was such an excellent call on their part. They did such a good job.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your traction so far? As far like how many customers, and like kind of it on the other side, what kind of the real estate or something?
Yeah, so we have a little over 300 customers, and we have about 22 in implementation right now that are not live. Okay. So we're growing quickly. The sale is a really fast one because we don't charge upfront costs, things like that, to get set up. It's the product usage that is what we work on constantly, because the buyers of our product are not the people using the app. And so we have to get so far deep into this ecosystem to get real estate agents on board with understanding why they should not send it with an ACH application, or why they shouldn't wire instead, and then getting their home buyers to download the app. And so that's sort of where we've been focusing right now.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to ask maybe two more, and then you can kind of pop in there. But can you talk to us a little bit about, like, obviously you've come in as a founder or as a CEO now. So, and you mentioned the founders. Can you talk about like, what was their prompting? Do you know like why they wanted to solve this problem? And then maybe what attracted you as you are joining?
Yes. So they own a real estate brokerage. They have over 800 real estate agents in their brokerage. So they have seen it all. They've seen funds get clawed back. They've seen fraud, and they just were looking for a solution for their own businesses, which is the most interesting part about this, because it really was just to solve their own problem. Sure. And they did it so well, and they realized that other people needed it. So that's when they decided to, get the patent, to start selling it, and then to ultimately get some investors, and then this year to hire me to help grow the company.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, it sounds like you've got some amazing traction. It's gone well. I'm excited to hear how it goes. There are a couple more questions, so maybe you could pop in and just chat those, and then also drop your contact in the, I know you had that slide, but maybe that will be helpful in the chat as well. And then as we wrap up, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as well, just to kind of talk about a few more upcoming events. But Emily, I appreciate you being here, and of course, all of our founders being here. So yeah, if everyone can see my screen, if y'all are interested, we do a lot of events at Atlanta Ventures. Some are at Atlanta Tech Village, a lot are virtual right now. So upcoming, we do have, there is a healthcare meetup in November. We just launched and announced, we're actually going to be hosting an investor panel. So they'll be talking about their relationship specifically in the healthcare industry, but it might be great for anyone who's looking to connect with investors or just hear kind of about the space in Atlanta right now. And then of course there's a tag digital health / fintech event coming up in I guess a couple weeks that you guys could attend. And then as always, we're posting events and continuing to kind of just put opportunities out there for us to connect and be together. And so you can check that out at Atlanta Ventures /events. So yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen. And without further ado, if y'all want to come back on, you're welcome. We've got a couple minutes here. If anyone has any more questions in the chat, y'all can put that there. But we appreciate Graham, Emily, and Alex being here. So cool to see just people at all different stages and where they're building, what they're doing. I'm sure a lot of you here are in the same boat. So I will maybe give you guys 2 more minutes. If anyone has comments, feel free to share. But if not, we'll kind of post a recap of this if you want to go back, hopefully tomorrow. And then you guys can share that with your networks too. If you guys on the call found someone that could use these guys' product, we'd love to connect that. And then if anyone is ever interested in presenting at Atlanta Startup Convos, we're always looking. I'll throw my email in the chat as well. And you can connect with me if you're interested. We have a list already kind of rolling, but always looking for new presenters. So there's that. And I will give y'all 1 more minute back of your day if you have nothing else. Okay, Emily's chatting in there. All right. Let's see here. Any other thoughts or questions? If not, we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you. I'll leave it up for a little bit just so we can, but I'll stop recording.